Yo, yo, how you guys doing? Welcome to the show. My name is Steph. Some people call me Uncle Steph if it's your first time here. So before I jump into the subject at hand, please let me know that you can hear my voice clearly. If you can put it in the comments, that would be great. Also, if you can leave a thumbs on the video, that would also be cool so that YouTube gods understand that there's interest in this video. So I hope everything is well with you. As soon as I hear any comments, somebody tells me that they can hear my voice clearly, I will jump into the subject at hand, and then we'll do a little bit of Q&A as per usual. All right. If you're wondering, I'm just drinking some herbal tea. Due to gastric reflux, I have to cut down my coffee by quite a bit. All right, cool. So you can hear me loud and clear. So, yeah, you can start asking me questions. Well, you can start at any time you like, but I'll get to them only after I'm finished my little presentation here. So I got to, oh, jeez, hold on. Give me a second. Do not disturb is on. All right. Sorry about that. Professional, always professional. All right. Okay, cool. So somebody asked me in a question under my previous live stream from yesterday, is Python recession proof? So you may or may not know, we could be in a recession now, but people assume we're going to be in a recession. Recessions are normal. They come they come periodically. So first of all, don't go crazy about the recession. It's not the end of the world. It's just a normal part of the business cycle. Anyhow, is Python recession proof? No, but it is very much recession resistant. I'll tell you what that means. What is recession proof is experience, whether it be in Python, JavaScript, C#, Ruby, PHP, what have you. Experience is the key. When you get I'd say around 2 to 3 years experience, then you start becoming extremely valuable as a coder developer, which means that if you do get laid off, like for example, there was a lot of layoffs from Meta and Twitter this year, but most of them got new jobs very quickly because they had a track record, they had experience. So experience is the key. So I'm going to give you some strategies for people who don't have experience, what they can do to maximize their getting a job in this environment and how they can protect their jobs. And if you do have experience, I'll give you some suggestions as well that will improve your standing in the things. So yeah, first point you have to understand, Python doesn't have a panacea on helping you become more valuable. Any of the languages will do that for you. Doesn't really matter. And so it's not a Python thing, it's a coder developer thing. That's for sure. Get this out of the way. All right, so it's a coder developer thing. Yeah, so whether you are JavaScript programmer, Python programmer, doesn't matter. So let me give you some strategies, all right? So for people who are new to code, if you watch my channel, you know what the strategy is going to be. Strategy is do 2 to 3 freelance projects for some local small business. Could be a local coffee shop, independent, could be a local garage, a dentist, a lawyer, what have you. The idea here is that you just want to get your hands dirty with some real projects that you can demonstrate, you can show to people. A real project built for an independent small business is worth 100 tutorials that you would do online in terms of your credibility when you go meet a prospective employer or maybe start your freelance career. So you want to go out there, do 2 to 3 small projects for free. Why for free? Because it takes the risk off of everybody. Since you're new to the game, this is for people who are new. Since you're new to the game, people don't want to spend money on noobs. So by offering it for free, don't do huge projects for free. You know, something going to take you a week, few days, 2 weeks max. By doing this, you're taking the risk off the table. It's less pressure on you, less pressure on them, but you get that valuable experience. So this is a standard protocol that I have people in my bootcamp do, my mentoring program. Again, the key is getting that experience. That is the recession proof quality that you can develop in yourself. Skills, real world skills. I assume you know your fundamentals as well. You're comfortable with what you do. So the next thing you can do is make sure you have a portfolio site, a site where you list all your your credentials, your experience, capability, you profile on your profile site those free projects that you did, whether they be web apps or installing an e-commerce solution or just building some back-end systems, automating some processes for people with Python, as an example. These are all, they're all good. They're all good. So with all that said, the other thing you guys should be doing is developing a social profile, if you will. So what does that mean? That means you want to join Twitter spaces that are relevant to the languages you're interested in and the type of coding that you're interested in. Join Discord servers and participate in Discord servers with other developers. By the way, link below, well, I'll put it in after this video, but links below you'll find links to my Discord server. We have over 3,000 subs there. So you should join it. Lots of people, all kinds of different levels. So joining a Discord community with other developers will up your game as a developer, will help you to develop, most importantly, contacts with other developers. Why is this important? It's super important because when a company is looking to hire new developers, oftentimes they'll ask their current developers, hey, do you know anybody? And if they know you because you've interacted with them on Discord quite a bit, or you've participated in Twitter spaces with them as an example, then that makes you somebody they know. And that's like a huge door opener, having these type of contacts. That's one of the reasons why I always talk about it's so important to have good social skills, good soft skills as a developer. Very important. All right. Think of it this way. when a company, let's say you have a company, a small company, they got to hire 5 developers, and so they're gonna have to pay to get ads out on ad sites to promote their jobs. So it costs them money. When, I don't know, you may not be aware of this, but when employers, companies are looking to hire people, they have to pay recruiters. So it can be very expensive. So that's why they'll ask their current employees, do you know anybody? So that's where having these contacts is a huge advantage for you in that regard. So there you go. That's in a nutshell. Python or any language is not recession-proof, but having practical skills is recession resistant because there's always a demand for developers. And the quicker you can get your experience up to 2 to 3 years, something that you can demonstrate, that becomes a recession-proof quality to have in yourself. I'll close with this. With the coming recession and the insecurity that people may be having about getting jobs or keeping their jobs, this is where the FU stash comes in very handy. I've talked about that. You can check out my YouTube channel. I talk about FU money. Explain to you what that is. It's basically emergency money. But having a good wad of cash in your bank that will cover all your expenses for 6 months to a year or more, you sleep well at night. You know, you don't worry about paying the bills. You don't worry about getting that next job. So I highly recommend to, when you can, get that FU stash put aside, because then your whole life becomes much more relaxed because you have opportunity, you have that buffer that protects you. So there you go, guys. That's pretty much it. I think I covered that. Let me just cover something that I typically do. If you're a total beginner to coding web design, you may want to check out my book on Amazon. It gets a lot of good reviews. It's for a total beginner, but it's a pretty good book. I also have my courses as well, my interactive training courses. But if you like to read, you like to look at, understand deep concepts of the web and development, this is it. I cover HTML, CSS, and a touch of JavaScript. It's designed to get you started quickly in the web. Finally, if you are a developer and you want to up your game, you should learn to refactor code. This is the seminal book on it. This one is Java, but they have a JavaScript one. Link is below, of course. And this book will teach you how to clean up your code and how to identify crappy code. And in doing so, that will make you a better developer. Hey, my autofocus is messing up on me. Anyway, so there you go. The refactoring book. That's one of the few books I kept from the 1990s, early 2000 eras, because this is universal. So even if you're a Python developer, you can get the JavaScript version. All the rules apply 100% across all of the languages. So there you go, guys. That's it. So if you have any questions about anything, either what is discussed today or any random questions about development, I'm opening up the floor to Q&A for the next little while. So you're free to ask questions. And by the way, if you just joined the stream, please give me a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. All right, let's jump into it. Elder. Python, along with C++, would actually make one less valuable, as most of the jobs that have those languages as requirements also require a degree, embedded software engineer. Yeah, that's something to consider. That's one of the reasons why I preach the web. The web is the king of freelance, king of small business, so you have a lot of opportunities there. Yeah, big thumbs up. Hey, Steph, how you doing? Any update on the JavaScript Pro course? No update yet because of the difficulty I have last year. Everything's been pushed back, as you know. But the JavaScript Pro course, that just needs one extra chapter, really. But in all honesty, I'm just building that out because just to have it. But once you've finished my JavaScript course, to learn, ES6 and a few other little concepts here and there would be pretty easy. You can do it on your own in like an hour or two, so it's not a big deal, if that long. So what else? Let's see. I went off the grid in terms of social media. Not smart, I guess, for networking, but I just couldn't take all the BS on LinkedIn. Oh yeah, there's a lot of BS everywhere. Actually, that's the other thing I failed to mention. You got to get your LinkedIn profile up to date. Yeah, social media is a double-edged sword. There's a lot of BS on there, but there's also opportunity for networking and so forth. So if you use it properly, like a sword, you won't cut yourself. Do you teach full stack on your course? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. What else? Cuban. So Gabriel says, so coding isn't dead. Is that what you're saying? Coding is not dead. Trust me, AI is not going to kill coding. This current recession is not going to kill coding. In fact, coding is continued, I think, to grow and accelerate because it seems like every year our world becomes more and more tech-oriented. So I don't see it as being an issue. So I wouldn't be too concerned about that. Okay, loud and clear. Okay, good. All right, so what else do we have? Any other questions? You will vanish like the mist. The magic isn't Python, it's the community. Yeah, exactly. The language doesn't matter. I just use Python because somebody asked me that specific question. Python has no panacea in terms of, nor does any other language in terms of retaining a job or protecting you from getting laid off if you already have a job. So don't try not to think that way, guys. Try not to think. As you become a more advanced developer, you will you'll become language agnostic, meaning you won't care about the languages insofar as the work is concerned. You find that every language has its pros and cons. Every language, every framework, every library has its pros and cons. And, you just let the dictates of the job and of the requirements of the project have you choose what language you're going to get into. So it's try not to become a language zealot. That's my suggestion. What do you think about live coding interview? I'm not a huge fan of that. I like to look at people's portfolios, ask them pertinent questions that I can that will tell me whether or not they know what they're doing. Live coding. I'm not a huge fan of that. It's because you may find an expert developer who may not be familiar with some of the problems you're tackling, but if he or she is an expert developer, then this individual will be able to learn the new stuff pretty quickly without any issues. About 10 years ago, here in New York City, some colleagues and I used to attend tons of tech meetups, always cool venues like Google. But then Amazon had these free cafes where you could chill and use Wi-Fi. Okay. Yeah, see, they're always looking to the big companies, all the companies are always looking to find top talent. That's why you have the layoffs now, because I talked about that in yesterday's stream. During COVID, there was a boom, and in the boom, they hired like crazy because they wanted to make sure that they were able to snatch the good talent. And then in that process, in the frenzy, like any other frenzies, there's overbuying. And as a result of the overbuying, they had less and less people, overhiring rather. And as a result of the overhiring, they hired people who were not necessarily the best qualified. And they overhired. So that's one of the reasons why we have the correction now. I recently listened to an interview with the father of JSON, and he said that JavaScript is a messy language. It is a messy language, that it's badly written in comparison with other languages. What about Python? Python is a better structured language, I would say. There's some weird quirks with JavaScript. That said, I have a preference for C-based languages like JavaScript, like JavaScript, like Java, like C#. I like curly braces over white space in terms of code blocks and so on. But yeah, I would agree. Python's more consistent, whereas JavaScript can be a little quirky. That's why they came out with that JavaScript ES6 to help mitigate for some of the quirks in core JavaScript. Whereas Python's more consistent. But both have their use, and JavaScript is, I think it's still the most popular programming language in the world today. Although technically, people will call JavaScript, as is Python, they're more scripting languages. But it's a distinction without much of a difference these days. What I'm sure of is that AI will be the gold era for no-code movement. No, it's going to take time. It's going to take time for that to happen. I wouldn't be too concerned about that. I think I may have. I don't know, Alessandro. I've been answering questions. And yeah, so what's this all about? All right. That's good. Yeah, that's another thing you can do. James made a good point. You can join open source projects. That's, again, another way for you to interact with other coders and developers. So what else? I'm going down. Good old Doug Crawford, follower of JSON and a huge language critic, big fan of his. There you go. There you go. So small group tonight. But that's okay. Well, that's pretty much it. I try to keep these lives a little shorter so I can do them more often. So I've answered the questions. If there's no other questions, I will. Okay, we got another question here. What do you think about college degrees? Will their importance increase or decrease in the future? They will decrease in the future. Especially when it comes to software development and coding, they will decrease in the future. I cited studies where Apple, Google, IBM found that there was no difference in quality in terms of their employees, whether or not they had a degree. And even Google said, don't go to college to get a degree. Why? Because it's very expensive. Even if it's free, it's very expensive. Let me explain. So to get a degree in college, they're going to make you do 4 years, where it's kind of ridiculous. You should be able to learn enough how to code to get a job within a year. So they do 4 years. And I think a big part of it is because they just want to, they want you to do 4 years because they make money. It's just, I have friends who are professors at universities. It's just a sad fact of it. Sorry. Doesn't mean all schools are bad. Doesn't mean all teachers are bad. There are good ones out there. But yeah, 4 years to learn how to be a developer, it's overkill. It's not really needed. So the degrees will become less important over time. And even big players like Google are saying degrees are not worth getting in coding. And I think over time, degrees will just lose their value overall. There are certain professions like medical doctors and nurses where you got to do that. But coder, unfortunately, it's much more of a meritocracy in the sense that you can test to see if anybody's good in the job interview, by looking at their portfolio, looking at their experience. So the degrees are becoming less and less of an issue. Okay. Farah Shaikh, I think I said that right. I think I said that right. Should I learn Vue.js for Shopify theme development? If you want to do Shopify, jump into it. What are the most in-demand niches for web development? It seems like it's mostly e-commerce. Yes, it's mostly e-commerce because it's mostly small business and they're online because they want to sell. So yeah, e-commerce is the way to go, whether it be Shopify or a custom solution or any other solution that is out there. You can't lose with that. That's for sure. That is for sure. So Evan says, project manager making nearly 6 figures, contemplating switching to coding. Well, I would transition into that, meaning don't drop your job until you secure new employment. That's number one. So you always want to transition from job A to B, especially in these times where things are a little, are not necessarily the most secure. Yeah, yeah, just understand. I would at first learn to code, learn the basics, and so you understand what you're getting into. And then, start talking to developers, try to understand their lifestyle, how they live, what they do day to day. You're probably aware of that if you're a project manager. Just make sure you like what you do. That's the key thing here. Python for cybersecurity. Any recommendations? I don't have any recommendations off the top of my head, but O'Reilly typically makes very good books. O'Reilly is a publisher, so that's a book you may want to get into. Beautifully textured says, thanks for the information and knowledge. Hey, no problem. Cheers. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. So, any other questions? As I said, I'm keeping these lives to half an hour. Well, I'm trying to anyway, so that I can do them more often. So we have time for a couple other questions. If you got them, let me know. If you come up with questions after the stream is over, feel free to post any questions under the video. I leave them in the archive so you can watch them afterwards. And I choose questions to answer. Evan says, thank you, sir. Nah, no problems. Thanks for joining the stream. Appreciate it. All right, well, if there, we got 3 minutes left. Any other questions? See if I missed any on top here. Let's see what's going on. What's going on here? Okay, no. All right, so we're pretty good. If you don't mind, here we go. 52-year-old, 25 years experience, help desk 123, started to study coding. Very cool. Well, it's never too late to join. Coding is one of those professions where you can code much lower into your 60s, really. So that's cool. Is it me or are CS50 problem sets are harder than what is taught in the lecture? I don't know. I've never done CS50, but I get, from what I understand, it's very academic, as opposed to pragmatic in terms of what they cover. What's your setup like? Which setup are you referring to? Let me know. Do clients typically have designs ready for us to develop, or is it our job to provide a designer? And do we go and hire a designer since we are devs? Good questions. Typically, clients, freelance clients, small business clients will not have designs. Typically, if you're not a designer, you could either partner with a designer, or you could use templates. I get into all kinds of details in my freelance course if you want to get into that. But good question. Is it worth to try and find a job in C or C++, or are there any jobs out there in those languages? Those jobs will be jobs, as somebody pointed out, there'll be types of companies where they're going to want to see some credentials, perhaps, more likely. Whereas if you get into like the web, JavaScript, and HTML, CSS, PHP, then those type of jobs are much more about small business, which means you won't need any pieces of paper to get there. I am in Bosnia. Very good. What environment do you recommend? I use them all. I've used Linux, Mac OS 9, and OS 10, Windows. Of course, iOS and Android is not a candidate for coding. I like Mac OS because it's free BSD. It is a Unix under the hood. So the command lines are built in, and some other things. But you can just install, I think it's WinCP or something like that. So you can just get that on your Windows, no problem. That's just my preference these days, although I've used Windows very much extensively. All right. Would you say you should never use Python in a software development project, even if the project is a small one? Or would you say it depends on the needs of the project and the dev team? Yeah, it depends on the need of the project and the team. Python's perfectly viable. There's lots of great applications built, web and client side and server automation. Python's very, very capable. There's nothing wrong with Python, but it really depends on the project and the team. Sometimes I would do it in Python. Sometimes I would do it in another language. Let me get some light in here. All right. Here we go. I can confirm we went through 8 interviews for a C++ job. They still ghosted me afterwards. Well, what you should do is contact them and say, hey, why did you ghost me? And I'm just want to improve I want to see where I'm lacking, what happened. Find out what they say. You know, you always learn that way. Hey, William, how are you? Hey, Steph, is there a way to find out what problems companies are solving? Any tricks you know? Or the only way to find out is through the interview process? Well, check out their website, see what they're doing, see what their business is all about. That might give you some insight. It's all circumstances. Didn't have a degree, so all those ACE interviews were worthless. Really? Is that what they told you? They said no degree, no job? Yeah, you should check that out. But it's not worthless because you've learned a lot by doing those interviews. Next set of interviews are going to be much easier for you because you've done it a few times. You're much more confident. So I wouldn't say it's a waste. But I know it can be disappointing. All right, guys. How are we doing here? All right, we've been at it for about a half an hour. I think we're done. It's been a good little vlog. I appreciate the live stream. Appreciate the thumbs up. As I said, I'm doing shorter live streams so I can do them more often, and I'll try to do them around this time on a regular basis. Thanks for joining the stream. Much appreciated. Code long and profit. Don't worry if things look tough for you right now. It will pass, and if you just keep applying the principles, look at my back videos, you get all kinds of tips and tricks how to wrangle the whole job market now. You'll be fine. All right. There we go. Cheers, guys.